So we know from the research and from practical experience that we can build muscle in any rep range. In this video, I'm going to explore 3 different rep ranges: 1 to 5, 6 to 15, and then 6 to 30 plus repetitions. I'm going to look at the pros and cons of working in each of those rep ranges, and then I'm going to give my overall recommendations at the end of the video for building muscle for men over the age of 40. First up, we have the 1 to 5 rep range. This rep range is excellent for improving strength. So if improving your 1 rep max performance is your goal, then this would be an ideal rep range to work in. Because the load on the bar is so heavy, you can build muscle due to mechanical tension, which is one of the primary drivers of muscle hypertrophy. Increasing force in this rep range potentially allows you better transfer to other performance metrics, such as jumping and sprinting. And they're also fun to do. Who doesn't enjoy lifting heavy? Now, there are cons to working within this rep range. Due to the heavy loads, they can be very fatiguing and create excessive joint stress, especially over the age of 40. For me, joint stress is one of the main reasons I don't do nearly as much volume as I used to do within this rep range. Another limitation is the amount of time it takes to complete sessions. Anyone who's ever done hard sets across at compound lifts within this rep range knows sessions can become pretty grueling. They can become long due to the intensity of the lifts and the amount of time that you need to rest between sets. Most individuals over the age of 40 that I know have jobs, they have young families and other time commitments, so long sessions just aren't feasible. If we explore the other end of the rep range, 16 to 30 plus reps, this rep range can be excellent for building strength endurance and work capacity. Provided sets are taken in and around failure, you can still build muscle here effectively through metabolic stress, which is another driver of muscle hypertrophy. Cons to working in this rep range are the cardiovascular system could potentially be a limiting factor rather than the muscle when completing a set. Anyone who's ever done a heavy set of 20 squats know they're demanding as hell in the cardiovascular system. High rep work can also be very fatiguing and tough to complete. The feeling of lactate can be uncomfortable for most, which again may become a limiting factor in performance, as well as form breakdown. For me personally, I find them pretty boring and repetitive, which may affect your consistency of training. However, that's very subjective. Finally, the 6 to 15 rep range can be great for building strength at the lower end of that rep range, and then building strength endurance at the higher end of that rep range. You can also build muscle well due to a combination of either mechanical tension or metabolic stress. This rep range might also be better from a fatigue and joint stress point of view because the loads aren't as heavy or repetitive. One of the potential cons, if you exclusively train only in a tight rep range, such as 8 to 12 for example, and that's all you do, you may limit your adaptations. When looking at the whole body of scientific literature, there's really not a big difference between these rep ranges when it comes to muscle growth. From a practical standpoint, you're probably best to use a rep range that allows you to get the most hard sets in per week. This generally coincides with moderate intensity and moderate reps for most exercises and most individuals. However, different rep ranges go about triggering a growth response in slightly different ways, so you're probably better off training with a full spectrum of rep ranges to maximize adaptations, instead of rigidly sticking to a single rep range and intensity zone. My overall recommendations would be to do 60 to 70% of your work in that 6 to 15 rep range, around about 15 to 20% with heavier weights and lower reps, and then 15 to 20% with higher reps and lower intensities. Now, these are just general guidelines and would be a good starting point for most. Ultimately, it comes down to you and your training history and your injury history to make those decisions. Would love to get your thoughts in the comments below. If you're looking for a free muscle building program, then click here. Thanks for watching.